going to begin with the prayers, acknowledging the source of the teachings, the generations of teachers who have very generously offered these teachings to us, the rivers that's been flowing for over thousands of years. As we seek to enter these rivers, dip ourselves, nourish ourselves by the waters, and also see how we can share this nourishment with more and more people in the world. We begin with the prayer also to drop the preoccupations of the mind and come fully into the present moment. So sit with your back erect, relax yourself. Sāhana vavatu, Sāhanau bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvina vadhitamastu, ma vedvishavahai. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Yogena chittasya padena vacha, malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena, yopakarottam pravaram munina, Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi, Abahu purushakaram, Shankhachakrasidharinam, Sahasra shirasam shvetam, Pranamami Patanjalim, Srimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Vagishayateshwarabhyam Samprapta Chakrankana Bhashyasaram Shri Nutnarangendriyatau Samarpitasvam Shri Krishna Maryam Guruvaryamide Virodhe Kartike Mase Shatatara Krutodayam Yogacharyam Krishna Maryam Guruvaryamaham Bhaje. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I'm going to chant a few sutras from the second chapter. Just listen, allow the words to sink in. If you're familiar, you can chant along with me. Atha Sādhana Pāda Tapaha Svadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga Samadhi Bhavanartha Klesha Tanukaranarthascha Avidya Asmita Raga Dvesha Abhiniveshaha Kleshaha Avidya Kshetram Uttaresham Prasupta Tanu Vichinna Udaranam Anitya Ashuchi Dukkha Anatmasu Nitya Shuchi Sukha Atmakhyatihi Avidya दृग्दर्शनशक्त्योः एकात्मता इव अस्मिता सुखानुशयी रागः दुःखानुशयी द्वेषः स्वरसवाही विदुषोऽपि समारूढः अभिनिवेशः ते प्रतिप्रसवहेयाः सूक्ष्माः ध्यानहेयाः तद्वृत्तयः क्लेशमूलः कर्माशयो दृष्टादृष्टजन्म वेदनीयः सति मूले तद्विपाको जात्यायुर्भोगाः ते ह्लादपरितापफलाः पुण्यापुण्यहेतुत्वात् परिणामतापसंस्कारदुःखैः गुणवृत्तिविरोधाच्च दुःखमेव सर्वं विवेकिनः हेयं दुःखमनागतम्. Welcome once again. Tarni, can you also spotlight Lekha? Welcome everyone. So this is an introductory webinar to the course that we are going to begin in February. It's another study program on the Yoga Sutra. We have done this before, but the last time we actually did a full Yoga Sutra study program was 3 years ago. We started during the COVID times. And this is a text that we have to come back to again and again and study. And this time we wanted to specifically focus on healing. So it is to really understand dukkham, the pathway to healing. So understanding suffering. Suffering is not the right word for dukkham, but we will be exploring this word dukkham itself in great detail, so we will understand better. Suffering as a pathway to healing. And this might sometimes sound very paradoxical. How can suffering be the pathway to healing, right? Because healing, we think, is about running away or avoiding or preventing or all of that that we are, whatever that we are suffering from. But Yoga Sutra is about understanding what is suffering, understanding what is dukkha. Better word is dukkha. And you will be hearing this word again and again and again and wonder, why are we talking so much about dukkham on a Sunday morning? I'm coming here to listen to something that is positive and happy and that which will take me to a better place. So the pursuit of happiness is really the story of our life, right? I'm not talking about the film. Will Smith, of course, that's one of my favorite films I keep going back to. The pursuit of happiness, which is a moving target. And that seems to be the greatest motivation for us to seek, to learn, to understand something so that we can resolve our problems, so that we can permanently be in a state of sukham, happiness. And sukham is like an expansive feeling, dukkham is a constricting feeling, and it appears that sukham is the opposite of dukkham, but it is not. The opposite of dukkham is to be free from dukkham, is to be free from the entanglement with dukkha. So This course we will explore Dukkham. In fact, the sister or the twin philosophy of Yoga Sūtra is Sankhya. And Sankhya begins with the word Dukkham. Yoga begins with the word Atha, which is considered a very auspicious word. It is like chanting Om at the beginning of any learning. Atha means here, now, are you ready? Right? But Sankhya begins with the word Dukkha, which is not considered a very auspicious word. But that is exploration, and that is the primary motivation for mankind to seek, to learn. And if we are all here gathered, and if we keep coming back to the study over and over again, it is to seek that freedom from dukkha. So we need to understand what dukkham is. We also need to understand what is healing primarily. In today, this yoga therapy and all of that has become so popular that when we listen to the word healing, we are immediately thinking of health condition and how can I cure myself, or how can I be free from the symptoms of a problem, or how can I avoid the problem, or how can I be permanently free from all kinds of problems that life can throw on. Right? And yoga and Sankhya say it's not possible. Right? Dukkham is inherently part of our life. If we have an embodied existence, the body itself can cause dukkha through illness, through various kind of problems that the body can go through, because that is the nature of the body. With practices, with the right lifestyle, food habits, we can avoid or prevent a whole range of problems, but that does not guarantee that we can be free from dukkha. Yeah? Something or the other will come up. And that's the nature of the body, because aging will happen, deterioration will happen, some kind of problems will keep coming and going. So then there is no way that one can be permanently in a state of sukham. Temporarily we will experience those states, and they're great and they're important, they're necessary so that we know what it is to be free from dukkha. Then dukkham will come, then we know why we don't want to be in dukkha, because we've experienced that freedom temporarily. But what Sankhya says is all the means that we have devised, the advancement in medicine and technology, science, today we don't even know what direction we're going with AI and all of that. Every day you open the social media, there are hundreds of solutions to one problem. And people say 7 days, 21 days, 40 days, I don't know. Luckily, I think most of us don't really stay with that even for 2-3 days, because another thing will come tomorrow to say, now try this. And then something else will come tomorrow, say try this. And we keep jumping from one thing to the other. We're not trying anything. So whatever people guarantee, we wouldn't even know whether it is true or not. But what Sankhya says is that none of these solutions are permanent and they're not definitive. Yeah. So I might take something, I might work with it, even simple, like let's say I have a back pain and I work with a set of asanas. It might work, and sometimes it might not work, because I might have to look at my diet, I might have to look at my emotional state, I might have to look at my stress levels, my posture itself. So any solution that we have devised are not permanent, are not definitive. So we have to really change the direction where we are looking for solutions. So two things are happening. That when we experience pain and suffering, we are looking outward and seeing these are the causes for my problem. It could be people, it could be situations, all of this that is causing me this constriction in my heart, dukkha. We will explore this word itself in much, much greater detail. Yeah, wait for it, because it's a very exciting journey. But as long as I'm looking for the problem outside and looking at as the problems as coming from outside, I will also externalize the solutions. I'll think that if I do this, or if I go to that teacher, or if I take that pill, or if I go for that treatment, or whatever, everything will help. There's no doubt that everything will help to some extent to pacify the problem. Once the problem is pacified and not feeling the dukkham anymore, then I relax. I become complacent. Yeah, then I go back to my old ways, and whether it is with my eating habits, with my lifestyle, with the way I use my mind, until the next dukkha strikes. Then again I'm running. I'm looking for solutions outside. So Yoga and Sankhya, these teachers are asking, how long will you run? How long will you keep running outside? Can you stop? Can you turn around and start looking within? Start journeying within. And this is the journey of yoga, the study of Yoga Sūtra. This is not a text that is commonly studied. It is not something that is even taught so much like the Bhagavad Gita. You go anywhere in India, there are so many classes happening to understand the Bhagavad Gita and many of the other texts, even the Upanishads and all that. Of course, all of these need teachers to explain to us so that we can explore more. But Yoga Sūtra is very special because it is talking about the mind. And there needs to be a certain level of readiness of the mind itself to engage with the study. And the sutras are aphorisms. They are very terse, cryptic messages that need to be decoded by studying with a teacher, maybe teachers, over and over and over again. Yeah, you can't study the Yoga Sutra by reading a text. To some extent, Bhagavad Gita, I can read a text, understand something, then I may seek out a teacher to go deeper. But Yoga Sutra needs a teacher primarily. So for almost 10 years or more than 10 years, I don't think I read any commentaries of the Yoga Sutra. All that I did was come and sit in a class with Desikachar on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. 8 to 9 will be a public lecture on Yoga Sutra. And for 17 years I did that. And we had not even come, maybe we did come to like a part of the 4th chapter. We did the 1st and 2nd chapter several rounds. 3rd chapter not so much, 4th chapter very less. That is a kind of study. And every time you come back and sit, it may be the same thing. He would have spent hours and hours talking about the word atha. But every time I come and sit, I am learning something new. Because I am in a new place. I am a new person. My mind is in a different space, right? I am in a different life context. And so what I listen to will make a different meaning to me. So initially the study of Yoga Sutra, we get very excited by these words. Like we know how to name something. I understand that when I'm very attached to, say, somebody in my life, or a certain food, or a certain comfort in my home, or a certain form of me also. And I get very attached to this yoga teacher part of me. I know now how to name it. I can call it raga. Okay, and the moment I know how to name it, I think I have understood it. But then the more I study Yoga Sutra, I know that I have not understood it. Right? I have to go deeper. So naming, giving something a name, giving it a certain form is only the first step of learning. That's what the Upanishads say. There are like 21 or 22 steps to get to the ground of what you're trying to understand. So it's a very exciting journey. Every time you study, there is something new coming up. There's something new that you discover about yourself. So every sutra, every word in the sutra is like a mirror unto ourselves. And the words are not nouns, they are verbs, they are action potentials, they are processes. Right? So when we understand every word like that, they journey with us through our life. and they help us to discover more and more about ourselves, our life context, our relationship with the world, and how to engage. So even if I am in a good space, no, if you tell me I am in a good space, life is going well, why should I study this text? I'm so happy for you that you're in a good space. And I want you to be in a good space. But when we step out of this good space of our life, this little bubble we are in, you just step out into the street. You just take the newspaper and read it. There's so much dukkha, right? There's so much suffering, and it disturbs us. Sorry. It disturbs us. It is meant to disturb us. If we don't get disturbed, then there's something wrong, right? Sometimes we steel ourselves up. We sort of create very strong boundaries, like walls we build, so that we don't get hurt. But the experience of dukkham is meant to open our heart, not close our heart. It is meant to really open ourselves to more of that experience so that we truly understand it without getting entangled in it, without allowing ourselves to wallow in it. Can I experience my pain as deeply as possible, as fully as possible? Just like I want to experience my happiness, can I experience that pain so deeply that I enter it and I completely understand where it is coming from? What is it that I'm doing that I'm experiencing this? What is it that I can stop doing or do less of so that I don't get into this cycle over and over again? And it will also help me to engage with the world, to encounter the suffering in the world from a space of quietude where I can truly support healing of the other. Where I can come from a space of great compassion and understanding, and not from fear, not from the need to immediately pacify something so that I will feel better, but truly from experiencing their pain as they are experiencing without me falling into that trap. So that's what yoga and Yoga Sutra study is all about. And the next word that I want to look at is healing. But before that, I want to ask Lekha, what is that you would like to bring in? And Lekha always brings in a dimension that is so much more deeper and coming from her own lived experience. Thank you, Lekha.
Thank you, Saraswathi. For me, when I experience dukkham, the way I experience it is like this constriction in the chest, as if um, everything is very tight, everything is very dark, and I can't see where I'm going. And what I have figured out is that the study of Yoga Sutras over many, many years, it feels like in that moment of darkness and tightness, there is a small window that opens and the light comes in. And I think that is what brings me again and again back to the study of the sutras. So I have experienced this when, I'm in great pain. Suddenly, a word or a verse or something that my teacher said will pop into my head. And at that moment, it is like somebody has thrown a life jacket while you're drowning in the ocean, and you're scared and you don't know where you're heading. And then this life jacket is thrown and you can wear it, and it'll take you to a lifeboat and then it will take you to the shore. So that's how I have experienced the study of the sutras. um, and when I am looking at long periods of crisis, the way I have experienced the sutra is as a compass. So, when you're lost in this dark jungle, if you don't know which direction to head to, and you don't know what direction will take you out of this, thick, dense forest, the sutra becomes like a compass. It tells you, why is it that I'm suffering? And what is it that I can do to even move one step in the right direction? Because even that one step will not only take me one step closer to being out of my suffering, but from that step, I can see a little more clearly what the next step could be. So that's also something that the Yoga Sutra reminds me that, it's not about knowing exactly how to get out of the forest or where you're going, but it is about taking that one step forward. And that is enough, because that step itself will take me to a space of greater clarity, of being able to see um, and sense my way out. And I see great value in studying the Yoga Sutra with a teacher, because by definition, in our tradition, the way I have experienced teachers, our teachers are like our friends. They're like our companions. So there are two, three things that I have again and again experienced with teachers in this tradition. The first is that they are also on this path. They also have their own suffering and their own dukkham, but they are slightly ahead of us in the path. So they are able to show us how to hold that dukkham. So the whole idea of the Yoga Sutra is not that my dukkham or my suffering will disappear, but my relationship to my suffering will change. So in that sense, my teacher is slightly ahead of me. So I can see that possibility that there is an alternate way of holding my pain or my suffering. The other thing about the teachers in this tradition is that the teacher understands you, because the teacher is also a friend. The teacher understands you, understands your patterns, understands your mind. So, like Sarah said, the sutra itself is like a code. It has to be decoded, but it has to be decoded for me. It is not a generalized thing. So, a teacher who understands me is a teacher who is able to say, this is what the Yoga Sutra could mean for me. So it is, in that sense, a very personal um, understanding, a personal experience. This is also why every time we come back to the sutras, it feels new, because we have changed, our teacher also has changed, and our relationship with the teacher has changed, because the teacher knows us a little better, a little more deeper. Right? So every time we study, even when we study the same sutras with the same teacher, it doesn't feel the same. And I always feel like it is a triad. So there is the teacher, there is the student, and there is the sutra. I have always felt that the sutra is a witness to this process of teaching and learning. And it is as if the teacher and the student are together looking at the sutra. And the sutra is speaking to both of them. So it is not possible in our tradition that when a teacher teaches a student, that the teacher is unmoved or untouched. The teacher also heals. The teacher also moves one step closer to clarity. So that is what brings me to this space, both
That's
as
what
a
keeps us
student
again and again. Yeah.
and as a teacher,
Yeah.
because the teacher is also getting healed, is also moving towards clarity. is also able to go one step deeper and say, how am I processing life? How am I holding life? What is my relationship with my own pain and suffering? What is my relationship with this person's pain and suffering? So it is impossible to study the sutra without changing or without being changed by that process.
Yeah, this is important to understand that one is uh, the teacher teaches what the student needs to know. Of course, in a group context, especially if we are sitting inside boxes, it is not even possible for us to fully understand where each one is coming from. But these kind of contexts, we look at it as an exploration together. It's like a first level exploration. Even if you have studied the Yoga Sutra many times, it's still a first level exploration. Then, when you bring it to yourself in your practice and work with the teacher one on one, there is a possibility for a deeper exploration and a deep dive to go in. And this has to continue. It is believed that Patanjali had four primary disciples, and he gave each chapter of Yoga Sutra, or not actually each chapter, like particular set of verses for each of his disciples based on their readiness. So he understood what a student is, what that person needs at this point of time. For example, um, Kritanjali is a person for whom Patanjali gave the Kritanjali or Badhanjali. I will come back to this later. He gave the second chapter. Okay, somebody who says, I need to understand it through my own actions, through practice. Then he gave a certain set of sutras to somebody who's already, very close to the state of yoga, Purnanjali, who's almost complete. So that again shows that the teacher understood the student and taught what the student needed at that point of time, right? Today, of course, the context has changed, and then we'll have to adapt to this situation, but inherently the mind has not changed. That's why I said we study the sutras over and over again, because like 35 years ago, when I started the study in 1990, I was completely, I don't know, I didn't understand anything. Sometimes, Desikachar has this habit of bringing a lot of stories and anecdotes, and they're very interesting. But I could never make the connection with the sutras. So he will talk about a sutra and then he'll talk about many stories and anecdotes, and that was enjoyable for me at that age, 2021. But today, when I go back to some of those things that I remember, I say, wow, they will be just normal day to day, occurrences he would talk about. His conversation with his wife, and, something that happened in the street, and that would what he would connect with the sutras. So he made it so alive and relevant. But it took many years for me to understand many layers of it because of my own life context, my own, there's certain level of maturing that has to happen, certain kind of pain we have to go through, right? We have to go through that kind of pain for us to truly understand what it means. And that is the journey, yeah. So Lekha said it is like a compass, it is like a life jacket. So we will call it a raft. So you get onto the raft and we will go on this journey. On a river, sometimes it will be peaceful, sometimes it can be, very difficult. But ultimately, the river will reach the ocean. And until then, the journey will continue, if you will it, because it has to be a lifelong journey. And the beauty of the sutra is that if you commit it to memory, like if you learn to chant it, it will be with you. Like Lekha said, suddenly, one word can pop up. You can wake up in the morning with a particular sutra, and then wonder about what does this mean to me today. And there will be something that happens that day that will be relevant to it. It's almost like the unconscious is throwing up something and saying, now catch, hold on to this, okay? This is what you need to use today. It's magical. And like I said, the whole journey of dealing with dukkham is to also understand that I know how to minimize or mitigate the pain, so that the mind is calm and stable. So there is enough clarity in the mind to make the right decisions, to act most appropriately, so that I don't create more dukkham for the future. I stopped my chanting with the verse Heyam Dukkham Anagatam. That is the fundamental verse from the Yoga Sūtra that we will be exploring around from the second chapter. So it is important that the pain and suffering that we go through does not destabilize us too much. If we really look at the suffering around in our family, we don't need to go very far, okay? I don't need to go as far as Gaza to look at pain. I can look at it in my immediate surroundings, within my family, our parents. How we deal with pain and what it does to us. What does suffering do to me? What does it make me into? Who do I become because of my encounter with pain over and over again? Sometimes it can make me very bitter, pessimistic, not trusting people, not trusting life itself, angry, frustrated, brutalized. And then we normalize it. And the worst thing is we normalize dukkha to the extent that we can't even recognize it. And then we say, okay, this is life, this is how I have to be. We become that, bitter, resentful people, and that clouds the light within. I'm no more in touch with the light within. And so this is how I encounter the world. And when I encounter pain outside, I immediately say, yeah, I also go through it. That's happening to me. It has happened to me. And I'm not touching their pain because I've gone into my own pain. I think my pain is bigger than their pain. Yeah, and nobody will understand this. It is true, nobody can understand our pain, but also nobody can understand their pain. So, what dukkham does to us is a very, very important thing for us to look at. What is it making? Who am I becoming with this pain and suffering? And we do see that in our life, right? When I saw the life of my mother, I'm very deeply attached to my mother. She loves me a great deal. She loved me. I know she loves me even though she is not there. And she went through a lot of pain in her life, but she remained a very, very positive person. Giving, generous, very positive, very, very loving. But towards the end of her life, I saw a lot of bitterness coming up. So much bitterness and anger and frustration coming up, and I realized it was all, what she had repressed and suppressed over her life, trying to be the best she can be for her family, for her children, and for the world. And all of that was coming up. And when I saw that, I said, I don't want to become like that. If at all I need to live my life in this lifetime, I have to clear all the impressions that I have gathered, and so that I can live and die peacefully. I can die in a very empty way. So this is something that I learned, and I continue to learn. And even when people come for therapy, it is really to understand the mind of the person, and their heart. Like, is their heart still open? Or have they closed down? Have they shut it down? So what is that we can do through practice? This is where we come to practice, because it might appear that Yoga Sutra is a very intellectual study, and people who are very strong in their intellect, where we have a sharp mind, we can understand many things very quickly, okay, through analogies, through metaphors, through language. Say, I got it. No, we don't get it. Until the learning is embodied, until you experience it in the body. So, dukkham is something that we experience in the body. There is no running away from it, right? You feel it in the body, you feel it in the chest, you feel the constriction, the heaviness, like a rock sitting on your chest. And if you don't feel it, that means something is wrong. Like I have not really touched the depth of it. And it has to show in my breath. It will show in my breath. If I don't have that connection with my body and my breath, I cannot work with Yoga Sutra. Therefore, practice becomes very important. And that's why in this course, we really want to keep practice very central to the exploration. Because as you listen, and if we truly listen with a quiet mind, everything lands in and the body will react to it. There's a deeper intelligence that will begin to respond to what we are receiving. And it's a kind of an alchemical process. I don't want to go too much into explaining it because you will experience it if you are choosing to jump onto this raft. And again, it's not a study that can be, you know, complete by itself because we have about 12 sessions and we're talking about a lifelong study. But it will give you a sense of what it is. It will sort of help you to enter or re-enter this journey with some level of curiosity and excitement, and hold on to that curiosity and excitement as you continue to explore further. Lekha, over to you. Why should we study the Yoga Sutra? Because there are today we have a huge marketplace of options for healing. Why should we study a text?
That's that's an interesting question. And with the Yoga Sutra, what essentially we do is, like Saras said, we practice. So it is not studying the text, it is studying ourselves through the study of the text. And what you're building a relationship is, you're building a relationship with the text, but you're also building a relationship with yourself through the text. And what I love about the Yoga Sutras is it not only tells you this is the end point, it gives you a very systematic step by step path to that end point. It is something that is real, it is actionable, um, and it's like a map. So that is why the study of the text is very important, because like Sarah shared and like I shared before, I've heard the story of Desikachar where he said, if I was ever lost in the desert and I could only take one thing, I would take the Yoga Sutra. And then I think he also said that it is there in my mind and it's in my heart. So I wouldn't need the physical copy anyways. And I have felt like that. I've felt that when you keep studying the text becomes your friend. And on any given day, in any situation, what you need will find you. It's very magical in the way it works. But for that to happen, I have understood that you have to allow it in. You have to allow the text to become
Impact.
an integral part of um, ourselves. And that can only happen with practice. We again come back to practice, because that is the nature of this relationship with the text. And that, uh, because practice is in some way conditioning. So when we practice, we are essentially conditioning our body, our breath, our mind to be a certain way. And that way is to be in harmony. So essentially, what we do in a practice is through different practices, we are learning to hold our body, breath, and mind in a certain harmony, in a certain union. And what I've realized is that is what helps you to experience life and oneself at completely at any given moment. And what we experience completely is also digested and assimilated completely. So even when we go through a very uh, negative or a very painful experience, when we allow our body, breath, and mind to completely be in union and experience that pain completely, what essentially happens is that it shows us what are the reasons why I went through that pain. It allows us to make peace and reconcile with what happened. And it allows us to then make a different choice if we would like to do so.
This is what J. Krishnamurti said. Like, if you allowed something to impact you completely, like, even if somebody is sitting in front of you and saying things that can be very, very hurtful, if you allow what they say to impact you completely, it will not hurt you, it will not leave any residue. Okay? So, imagine such a state of mind. That is what yoga promises. Somebody like J. Krishnamurti was already in that state of mind. But the rest of us need to do a lot of practice, a lot of work with ourselves to even have some glimpse of that kind of a state. So it's not about running away or pushing something down, but really truly encountering it with great courage and with great presence. And that empowerment comes through practice, through working with our body, breath, and tuning the mind. Yeah. And healing, in a sense, connecting to this, is making ourselves whole, because the hurt and the pain comes because we are fragmented. There's a part of me that wants to be seen in a particular way, there is another part of me that doesn't want to be seen, right? And so I push this down, and this is what I show the world. And when the world sees some other parts of me, then I'm in great pain. Okay? And because I'm fragmented, the suffering is greater. Healing is about making myself whole, becoming a completely integrated human being. And we begin that journey with integrating the body, breath, and mind, and holding these three in harmony, to understand what that harmony is, so that when there is a deviation from that, we are able to catch it. We are able to look at it and understand it and come back to this state, recalibrate. And this recalibration has to happen continuously, because we have fixed ideas about ourselves and people and the world, right? But everything is changing all the time, but we are not aware of these changes. In our mind we have fixed it. So the recalibration happens only through very sensitive awareness of these small changes. Like, sometimes the breath gets shorter, sometimes you feel a discomfort in the body. And when, how are we able to catch it? Only through regular asana pranayama practice, because we are so tuned to the body and the breath. Lekha, anything else you want to add?
Atha, I have studied the text many times, but every time I come back to this first word of the text. It says, it doesn't matter. How you lived till this moment doesn't matter. Atha, now you can begin afresh. So I think that is one thing that keeps bringing me back to practice and back to the text. It doesn't matter. I didn't do the practice yesterday. It doesn't matter. I can do it now. I'm I got caught up in my pain or suffering. It is okay. I can now, at this moment, step back and change my relationship with the pain. I made a mistake. I hurt somebody or I hurt myself. It's okay. Now I can make a different choice. So I think that is the promise.
Yeah, so we can keep talking about the text and the study, but we have to come to the course that
Yes.
Tarni has kindly reminded us. The course structure, um, because we really want all of us to come together and engage with the study live, we will not be providing recording, first of all. Okay, so you sign up for the course, you have to show up, and ideally, you show up with your window open so we can see you as much as you can see us. And that brings a different kind of engagement, a different level of attention. Yeah, because we know we are doing so much work online, all of us, that sometimes when my video is off, I can be looking at my phone, I can be doing 10 other things that I'm very good at. But here we are saying this is the only thing we are going to engage with for the next 1.5 hours or 2 hours or whatever, right? And so we will restream. We will do the live session on Saturday morning, IST, and then we will restream it on Monday evening. We will be present on both sessions. So at the end of the streaming on Monday, we will have the discussion. You can share, ask questions. And that's how we will progress. Because we have only 12 sessions, 24 hours, the second chapter is quite long also. It's 55 sutras and it's quite a lot to cover. We will also be referencing Sankhya Karika and all that. So we won't be going like word by word and explaining every sutra in great detail, but you will get the essence of it. That's how we will study this round. Okay, there will be a practice, and Yoga Sutra chanting is also an integral part of this learning. We are offering regular free chanting sessions every Wednesday. Tarni, can you remind me what's the time?
Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. IST.
So we do have, sorry Australians, it might be too late for you, but we will try and figure out another timing also. So for now, this is one session that is open to anyone who want to come and practice chanting the Yoga Sutra. One of our colleagues, Aarti, is leading that. Okay, so Sutra study and chanting learning can happen parallelly. Along with this, practice is going to be part of the session. We will also have time for questions and reflections. Ideally, you journal, apart from taking notes, also journal how the study impacts you and what have you learned about yourself each day through this engagement with the study. That will be a great way to see the sutras as a mirror unto oneself.
I just have a question, Saras.
Yes, Alicia.
Just in relation, you mentioned the restreaming on the Monday night. So the Saturday, what time would that be, and how does that?
It is 6 to 8 p.m. I think, right, Tarni? 6 to 8 a.m. on Saturday morning IST, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday evening IST. The course information is on the chat. You have the link. You can go in and look at the other details.
Yeah.
And feel free to write to us or message us if you have further questions. Lekha will be able to respond.
Thank you.
The course begins on February 7th, Saturday.
7th, was that?
Yeah, February 7th in India, Saturday morning.
Thank you.
Yes, Sue.
I'm just wondering, because it is live and no recording, is it possible to have the Sanskrit in the chat? Any words that come up?
We will do that.
So that I can, that would be really good. I have found that over not being able to see it if we're not being able to. It just helps me with understanding and referencing, etc., etc. Yeah.
We'll share the chat history with you. We will create a WhatsApp group. I hope everybody is on WhatsApp, so we can post this. I know it's difficult, but it seems to be the
That's
best
good.
option. Yeah, so we can post this. You can ask your questions. We can continue to engage on WhatsApp as well as we go through this, because there's only so much we can do in a 2-hour slot. So it will be a continuous learning space also.
Very
Maybe
good.
except
And
Claudia,
Will
everybody is on WhatsApp usually. Yeah.
okay.
And also,
Thank
we've shared the notes of the whatever Sanskrit words. So while you are in class, you can really focus on the listening. And we will share the Sanskrit words as a Word document in the WhatsApp group so that you will have it with you for reference.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Yaruska.
Oh, again, it's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much. The spirit of your teacher, Desikachar, it's so alive. I feel so, honored and blessed. But dukkha happening already, because I sign up for the course and I very much love to do it. But I have 2 commitments already on my calendar. And, with the California time, one of them is the 10th of March. And I believe it will, not be able to attend the window. Will there be any way to attend on very rare occasion? These sessions are offered 2 times
So
to
don't
be
worry.
able to, because
Yeah,
I
I
don't
understand.
mean to be ask for a favor, but I did pay this morning because I absolutely would love to do that. But I think it was mentioning if you miss a session, you can attend the recording. And I understand why you're not offering the recording, but if I miss that first session, it's the atta. It's the beginning. So I could attend the one which is offered, couple days later or the next day.
Yeah, so would you be able to attend the evening of Monday if you're missing
Yes,
Saturday?
absolutely. Yes.
Then
It is
that's
6 a.m. here in San Diego,
yeah.
and one of them I will be out of country for a very short trip. So my
So that's why
apologies.
we have given 2 timing options. Both will be in a sense live because we are going to be there. Except that we will record the first part, and the second part it will be engaged
Thank you.
live.
I am not ready for that kind of detachment yet. That's true.
Yeah. And the other thing is, after the course is over, after we complete, we will share the recording for a period of time where it will be available for you, so you can
Thank you.
watch it.
And may I say one more thing? I
Yeah.
believe you know more, but that Desikachar have studied the sutra at different times with his teacher Krishnamacharya, at least 7 times,
Yeah.
and each time, of course.
Yeah.
So
And
anyhow,
that's what he mentioned in one of his books, but maybe longer also, maybe more also, Sometimes what we look at 7 times will be like complete study from start to finish. But
yeah.
there'll be so many times that you keep dipping into it and going out almost every day, For me, all these years, 35 years, it is like an everyday engagement. It is not like once a week or something, everyday
I
engagement. So
understand.
it's a very powerful process.
Thank you.
So Tarini will be demonstrating. If you are not so familiar with the asanas, then you can watch her and do the practice. So we're going to just do 3 asanas today: Tadasana, Virabhadrasana, and Uttanasana modified. Okay, and we are going to work with the breath in a special way. Okay, so if you can stand on the mat, or you don't even need a mat actually, you can just stand. and get ready for the practice. Do you stand with your feet together or slightly apart? Just bring all your attention to the body. Take a minute to stabilize the body. Just start breathing in and breathing out. Slowly extending the breath. Feel the opening of the chest, the lengthening of the spine as you inhale, and the relaxation of the chest and the abdomen as you exhale. And once you connect with the body and the breath, just take a minute to observe the sensations in your body. With all the discussions that we had so far, something could have got triggered in the body as a sensation. Can you pay attention to that? Can you just bring your awareness to that? And we don't need to start thinking about it. Simply observe. And now we are going to start working with the breath and movement. Okay, as you inhale, you will raise your arms, and as you exhale, you will lower your arms. It's very simple. But you pause for a couple of seconds at least at the end of the inhalation and exhalation. And we are also going to progressively lengthen the breath, both the exhalation and the inhalation, which means we are going to slow down the movement. Okay? So let's say you inhale for 3 seconds and exhale for 3 seconds to begin with. Tadasana. As you inhale, raise your arms from the sides and look up. Really stretch your spine. You can bring your palms together or keep your arms parallel. Pause. Start exhaling and lower your arms. Bring your chin down. Okay. Now you allow the breath to lengthen a little more. So do the same Tadasana with a little longer exhalation and inhalation. Work at your own pace. If you're comfortable, you can even do this with your eyes closed. So all the awareness is directed within. When you pause, the mind becomes very still. The third time, try to lengthen by 1 second, just a little more. Deeper inhalation and a longer exhalation. The fourth time, it's possible that you have reached your maximum. Stay with it or lengthen a little more. Don't try to push, don't try to force. Let the breath extend by itself and the body move with the breath. One last time. Okay, now back to the neutral position, Samasthiti. Just close your eyes and observe. Continue to stay with your natural breath. Take your awareness into the body. Now open your eyes. We are going to the next posture, Virabhadrasana. It's commonly called the warrior pose. And it's truly to awaken the warrior within us, to encounter all the challenges that life throws upon us with great faith, strength, and determination, perseverance. Okay? So take a big step with your left leg forward, turning your right foot out at an angle. So it's a big stride forward. And you're facing the front leg. Okay? Now as you inhale, so just bring your hands to the heart, to the chest. Tarini, yeah. And as you inhale, you bend the front knee, open the chest, open your arms to a little higher than shoulder level, elbows bent. Yeah. Looking straight, looking at the horizon. Yeah. Exhale, bring your hands back to the heart, straightening the front leg. Okay, now we are going to do this 4 more times, and each time you will hold your breath. Just stop breathing, suspend your breath after your inhalation for 2, 3 and longer. Just inhale and stop breathing, and then exhale, come down. Okay. So do this 5 more times. Be still. Exhale down. So when you raise your arms, if you are able to raise above the shoulder level with your elbows bent, you will feel less strain around your neck shoulder area. Because most of the time we accumulate a lot of tension here. So you're meeting the world and coming back home into your heart space. And be still. Be still after the inhalation. And be still at least for a few moments after the exhalation to feel the space in your heart. Once you complete, step back to Samasthiti. Now step forward with your right leg. Turn the left foot out at an angle. So you know the instructions. I'm not going to say anything. Just do it 6 times. Once you complete, step back to Samasthiti. You can close your eyes and just observe. Just be very quiet. So with the Virabhadrasana, we explored pausing or suspending the breath after the inhalation. So just holding something fully within yourself, like to be fully impacted by it, to be fully present in something. Being full. How does it feel to be full? How does it feel to be able to encounter something, to be with something and let it impact us fully? That was the Virabhadrasana. The next posture is also a counter pose, Uttanasana. But in Uttanasana, we will focus on lengthening the exhalation, which is letting go, emptying oneself, and then suspending the breath. Just stop breathing after you complete your exhalation as long as you can. Let it not disturb the next inhalation. So don't forcefully do it. Just suspend the breath as long as you can. When you feel the need to inhale, gently come up. Okay? So Tarini is going to demonstrate once and then you can do it. So inhale, raise your arms from the front. So you really stretch and extend your spine. Start exhaling from the lower abdomen and start bending towards the stool. So you can keep a support in front of you. Bend the knees, completely relax. End the exhalation, empty, empty completely. Pause. And whenever you feel the need to inhale, gently come up. So it should not be a forceful inhalation. Remember that. Exhale, lower your arms. So you can also progressively increase the time you are staying empty. Okay? And feel that emptiness. How does it feel to be completely empty? Of thoughts, of action, of movement, of the breath itself. Five more times. Keep the body very relaxed and empty in a very gentle manner, without force, without control. It's like you're telling the body, empty yourself of everything that you're holding on to right now. Once you complete, again stand in samasthiti. Come back to the natural breath with your eyes closed. Just be quiet. Observe how you feel in your body right now, the sensations. And see if the mind is fully settled. Okay, now you can come back to your seats. In that space of silence and quietness and stillness is when we get in touch with what is happening within us at a deeper level. Otherwise, we are just swimming in the thoughts, being tossed around by the waves of the thoughts. When the thoughts settle down, even a little bit, even for a short while, something deeper will be revealed. So once we take in the sutras, we engage with the study, we listen quietly, then the deeper mind has its own way to process it and to reveal to us. We don't need to use the conscious mind a lot in this study. The less you use it, the better. Okay? So that was a short practice to actually help us experience what it means to be still, full, empty, quiet, and aware. Lekha, want to add anything? Can you spotlight her?
So it's feeling all of those things at this moment.
To be able to fully feel happiness, fully feel the pain of another person or even of yourself, and to also know how to empty is very important. Luckily, in this tradition, just working with the breath, the 4 components of the breath, the inhalation, the exhalation, the ability to suspend the breath after inhalation and exhalation, just these 4 components when we learn to work with, of course, with the body. There's so much that we can explore of the deeper aspects of the mind. And these are all tools we already have. We don't have to look for paraphernalia outside of us. Already have them. Any moment, the breath is ready to come to your aid. Like the best friend. Okay, so you can continue to engage, ask us questions. You can write to us or message Lekha. Her number is in the chat. The details are in the website. And I will finish with a prayer. Asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.